What is up, guys? It's Jimbo here and welcome back to another build video. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at a brand new combo that is in the game, which is Incandescent and the Dawn Chorus, and how it works in a build. Essentially, the Dawn Chorus is going to allow you to get a ton of extra damage with your Scorches, which allows you to get ignitions, which is going to be good for higher level gameplay. But we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to jump into the build and we're going to talk about it, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. So let's talk about this combo and just go over quickly how the build comes together. The main things that you're going to want is Incandescent and an enhanced version of it, preferably, because it still works with the regular version, but the enhanced version gives you more Scorch stacks and also spreads longer lasting Scorch, so it means it ticks for longer, which is great. And Dawn Chorus, this thing, your Scorch effects deal more damage, and you also gain a small amount of melee energy each time your Scorch effects damage a target. On lower level enemies and just regular stuff, this thing is like, everything's dead before you even kind of get the effects of this type of stuff. But on higher activities, the more the enemies are staying alive for a little bit longer, the more you're able to do more Scorch damage, which means you'll also get ignitions, which is the key thing that we are going for when it comes to it. So you could go with the Daybreak and stuff, but quickly run through. I'm using a Healing Rift. I'm also using Incinerator Snap because this also puts Scorch on alongside the Celestial Fire. I have a Solar Grenade. You can swap this to whatever grenade you want, even Healing Nades if you want a bit extra healing. We have Touch of Flame and Icarus Dash as per. Ember of Searing, which gives us melee energy on Scorch targets. Ember of Torches gives us back our melee, gives us Radiant when we do a powered melee attack. We get more Scorch stacks when we do Ember of Ashes, and then Ember of Empyrean is just OP for Radiant and Restoration effects. The key reason I am talking about Radiant here, Radiant will allow you to have weapon damage that is increased. This also means if you have Radiant active, Enhanced Incandescent has the effects of it if an enemy is hit by a Scorch effect from Incandescent, which means that you're getting a 25% buff to the Scorch damage. Add on top of that Font of Might, which is going to give you a 20% damage to any of the weapons that match the subclass that you're using, i.e. if you are using, if you're using Solar, then as we are using here, and we're using the mini tool, you're going to get those effects as well. It's also a reason why I have the Cataclysmic as well here, because it's also Solar for damage. I have Wither Horde. You can put anything here. You can have a Fusion Rifle, Grenade Launcher, whatever it is. And then for an exotic, I'd recommend just a Solar Exotic. You could have Parasite if you really wanted to. Lament. You could have Parasite, the Galahorn, whatever you want, as long as it's Solar. Quickly run through the build. We have Well of Life on. Font of Might, which gives us that buff. Well of Life is just for healing. We also have Bountiful Wells, Classy Restoration, and then we have Melee Wellmaker. The Melee Wellmaker is important because we're going to be using our melee and hopefully be able to get it back quite consistently. You can swap out stuff. I tend to go for high recovery, high resilience. If you wanted to drop that all the way down and probably put it into strength and stuff, you can do, but that is what I am running for this. So let's show off the build and how it actually works. Hopefully I don't die here and I'm able to show it off in the way that I want it to. But essentially, if I can get myself a kill to start off, there you go, I'm Radiant. I have the 10% damage buff. And if I can spread the Scorch effects, you can see I'm doing 5,000 a tick. So as long as I can keep that up throughout the entire time of me doing things, and I can get back my wells and such, then I'm going to be in business. Now, the Callus Mini Tool is great for this, purely because you're going to be able to kill enemies rather quickly. You've got Radiant active quite a lot. You've also got the melee energy as well. And as long as you're scorching targets, you're going to get your melee back. This is the reason why I'm not like 100% on the melee at the moment. You could probably swap it off for discipline. But as long as you've got the Radiant effects, you can even go in a well, get this effect right here, and boom, you're going to be ticking damage. And you can see as the more Scorch stacks hit, the more ignitions that you're going to be doing. So on higher level enemies, as long as you can get Radiant and Incandescent Scorches to activate, you're going to be able to do a pretty decent amount. Scorch them again, 45k. I'm doing, you're going to be able to absolutely destroy stuff on the higher difficulties, especially when you take into account that you can get incandescent on Drang. Now, I do think, before we close out and we go into my final thoughts on the video, I do think that Drang incandescent will be a hell of a lot better than the mini tool. The reason being is you can have Wellspring on here. Wellspring incandescent will be fantastic purely because you can do it as a regular version, but if you think about it, Wellspring is going to allow you to get your abilities back. And even with Wellspring, you're still doing 1,873, or the incandescent that's not enhanced. And I'm not even Radiant either. And, you know, it's still fairly good for what it is. You know, the Drang is going to do a job. So if you can get yourself a Drang, if you can get yourself a mini tool, then you're going to be able to do a bunch of damage. You can see that the Scorch is stacking there. Scorch is stacked again. Another Scorch stack as well. And then you can just swap and finish it off with your solar weapon and get the kill that you want. But let's go through my final thoughts on the build. To close out the video, I do want to say that the Drang is probably going to be my go-to here in the future for this build. The mini tool is great for the incandescent, and you'll be able to shred enemies rather quickly. But that Wellspring, especially if you're not speccing into your strength at all, so you won't be able to get your melee back as quick. And I do think that if you're scorching a lot of targets, then you're going to be able to get that melee back as quick as well. But I think that the Wells and Wellspring and also the Scorch effects as well with the Drang will be a much better option, as I just went through just a moment ago, just to give you an example of what incandescent looks like with a slower, with the unenhanced version, I should say. But I do think the build is pretty nutty, especially if you're going for ignitions and stuff. Trying it out in endgame, I'd have to, you know, mess around with it a little bit more and like higher level activities, most notably ones that have champions, because unless it's overload or we, you know, haven't got the barrier sidearm at the moment, then the build kind of becomes a bit null and void. And you haven't really got any other weapons apart from the dungeon fixed odds that has incandescent on it. Maybe the Beloved, if you wanted to go with a more sniper variant. But yeah, if a weapon has incandescent on it, you're definitely going to be wanting to see how it works. So either the mini tool or the Drang will make this build work. But it's a pretty crazy build. I had fun using it. Hopefully you will have fun using it. And whether or not you want to use it in endgame remains to be seen. I do think it's pretty fun to try out, especially with there's a bunch of like ad spawns and such. So definitely go and do that, and you probably will be able to do a pretty decent amount of damage if you can set up the Font of Might in the way that you want it to be able to do stuff for boss DPS. But that's all I have to say on the video and the build. If you've enjoyed this, make sure you hit a like on it, subscribe if you're new, and turn on the notification bell as always. And this has been It's Jimbo, and I'll see you guys next time.